Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're going to delve into some truly deeply unsettling true stories. These aren't just, quick headlines. They're stories that really get under your skin, revealing things about human nature, about failures in society, and often the incredibly difficult fight for justice.
Absolutely. And the sources we've looked at for this dive, they offer some really unique angles. We've got deep investigative work, firsthand accounts. It lets us go beyond just the surface level,
Right. So our mission here is to really unpack the key details, the lessons learned, or maybe the lessons not learned from these complex cases, to try and understand why they stick with us.
There's definitely a lot to get into.
Okay, let's unpack this. We're starting with a case that just broke hearts across South Korea. The story of Young In.
Oh, yes. A truly tragic case.
She was a baby, adopted in January 2020 by parents identified as Zhang and An, an adoption that was supposed to be her safe haven, but it became a nightmare.
And the chilling part is the number of warning signs. Just completely missed opportunities. The police records show the abuse started incredibly quickly, just a month after adoption, February 2020.
A month? Wow.
Yeah. But the first official report wasn't until May 25th. A daycare worker noticed bruises, stomach, thighs.
And what did the parents say?
They claimed it was from massages, said she had a leg deformity, but it didn't really explain everything, frankly.
Okay.
Then, June 29th, another report. Young-in left alone in a parked car in the summer.
Oh my God.
And the police investigation for that got delayed a whole month. They found no evidence.
But how does that even happen, a delay like that?
It's hard to understand, and it just gets worse. By July, she'd stopped going to daycare for 2 months.
Right.
When she came back, the staff were horrified.
How bad was it?
Bruised, pale, severely underweight. And later, text messages show the parents deliberately, maliciously starved her. It wasn't just neglect, it was intentional.
Oh, vile.
Then, September 23rd, a daycare worker, probably desperate, took Young-in to a hospital. The doctor there saw it, suspected child abuse, filed a report, said she needed to be removed from the home.
Finally. So action was taken then?
Well, the authorities asked for a more extensive exam, but the parents, they went and got a second opinion from a doctor they knew personally.
Oh, no.
And this doctor, incredibly, blamed her severe injuries on stomatitis, mouth sores.
Mouth sores. For everything.
Exactly. It made no sense. He later claimed he didn't even know about the abuse allegations, which raises huge questions about him. But based on his report, the authorities just dropped it. Again.
I can't fathom this level of failure. So many chances.
It's infuriating. If they had just followed up properly on that first doctor's report. Maybe.
What happened next?
October 12th. Daycare staff are basically begging for help. Young-in couldn't swallow, couldn't even drink. A caregiver noted the day before she died, she looked like she gave up on everything.
Oh, that poor child.
The very next day, October 13th, she had 3 cardiac arrests. And she died at the hospital, 271 days after being adopted.
And the autopsy.
It was horrific. Multiple fractured bones, head wounds, severe internal bleeding caused by external force, consistent with stomping.
Stomping.
And she weighed 8 kilograms, a full kilogram less than when she was adopted 9 months earlier.
The public must have exploded.
Absolutely. Utter outrage. November 2020, Zhang was indicted for involuntary manslaughter by child abuse and for negligence. A petition demanding harsher punishment got over 230,000 signatures almost immediately.
Did the government respond?
They promised investigation, reform. The trial started January 2021, and a TV report came out detailing the police failures. Public anger just intensified.
What was Zhang's defense?
She admitted punching Young-in, shaking her, dropping her on the day she died, but denied intent to kill. Claimed she'd accept punishment, but denied stomping. Even though an expert testified the internal injuries pointed directly to stomping, possibly related to Zhang's recent breast surgery, he speculated.
What were the sentences?
Zhang got life for murder initially, but it was later reduced to 35 years on appeal. Lack of intent to murder was the loophole, and got 5 years for negligence and aiding the abuse.
It feels like every single layer failed her. The agency, the police, the child protection services.
It really points to deep systemic issues. Holt Children's Services, the adoption agency, allegedly rushed things, gave custody on the first meeting, knew about abuse back in May but let the parents stall.
And the police?
Reports suggested officers feared complaints against them if they separated kids. Excessive use of force complaints. They didn't feel they had guaranteed authority, maybe feared for their jobs.
So their fear trumped her safety.
It seems that way. And the Child Protection Institution, run by nonprofits like Good Neighbors, their evaluations were flawed. Didn't ask verbal questions to nonverbal infants, for example. terrible communication between agencies, and massively understaffed. 240 officials for over 30,000 cases.
Just impossible numbers.
Exactly. New laws were passed after the outcry banning corporal punishment, mandatory police investigation after alerts. But, laws are one thing, enforcement is another.
A truly devastating failure at every level. But failure doesn't always look like neglect. Sometimes it's born from misguided action. Let's shift to another terrible case. Candace Newmaker.
Yes. The rebirthing therapy case. Equally horrifying, in a different way.
Candace was 10 years old. Her life ended during this procedure. It just shines a stark light on the dangers of unregulated pseudoscientific practices.
Her early life was really unstable. Born in North Carolina, teenage mom, violent dad, removed from their care at 3, then bounced between 6 foster homes in just 2 years.
6 homes in 2 years.
Before being adopted at age 5 by Jean Newmaker, who was actually a pediatric nurse, but even she later said she was totally unprepared for Candace's issues.
What kind of issues?
Severe behavioral problems, fits of rage, killing a pet goldfish, setting a fire. She even sexually assaulted 2 other children. Her adoptive mother thought she had reactive attachment disorder, RAD.
What is RED exactly?
The Mayo Clinic describes it as a rare, serious condition. Happens when infants or young kids don't form healthy attachments because their basic needs aren't met. You often see it in kids with instability, like foster care.
Was it confirmed she had RAD?
It's debated. RAD can be overdiagnosed, but traditional therapy, medication, none of it had worked for Candace. Teachers actually didn't see bad behavior at school, suggesting the issues were tied to parental figures.
So Jane Newmaker, feeling desperate, turned to this rebirthing therapy. What even is that?
It's pseudoscience. Deeply controversial. Basically, adults pin a child down, yell at them, wrap them tightly in blankets or sheets, cover them with pillows, forcing them to struggle.
To simulate birth.
Yeah, the idea is to simulate a traumatic birth. They believe this forces the child to rebond with the parent figure, to see them as rescuers. It's disturbing logic, and it targets desperate parents.
And Candace underwent this on April 18, 2000.
Yes. 5 adults were there. Unlicensed therapist Una Watkins and Julie Ponder. The office manager, Britta Sinclair, an intern, Jack McDaniel, and the adoptive mother, Jean Newmaker. It was all videotaped.
Videotaped?
Yes, the transcript is chilling. Candace was wrapped in a sheet, fetal position, covered in pillows. 4 adults pushed down on her.
What did the transcript reveal?
Candace saying she couldn't breathe, saying she thought she was going to die, begging them to stop. Ponder and Watkins literally told her to go ahead and die.
They said that.
They did. She vomited. She defecated. They told her to stay in there with the poop and vomit. The pressure increased. McDaniel leaned on a pillow on her head. Watkins called her a quitter. Her last word, 40 minutes in, was no.
And they just kept going.
They kept berating her even after she stopped responding. Then they took a break, talked about dream homes under the pillows. They unwrapped her over an hour after she went silent, found her blue, sleeping in her vomit. The combined weight on her was over 600 pounds.
Oh my.
She died of asphyxiation, probably about 20 minutes before they even uncovered her. It's just beyond comprehension.
The consequences must have been severe.
Watkins denied responsibility, blamed society, blamed the parents. But in April 2001, she and Ponder were convicted of reckless child abuse causing death. Got 16 years each.
And the others.
Sinclair and McDaniel got 10 years probation for criminally negligent child abuse. Jean Newmaker pled guilty to neglect and abuse, got a 4-year suspended sentence. Watkins, even later, kept blaming Candace, saying she could have escaped if she'd wanted to.
That's just monstrous.
It is. The case led to Candace's law in Colorado banning rebirthing. Other states followed. It's a brutal example of the danger lurking in unregulated therapies.
From systemic neglect to dangerous pseudoscience, the ways vulnerable people can be failed are just staggering. Now, let's shift focus again to a case involving identity, impunity, and international tensions. The killing of Jennifer Loud.
A very complex and highly charged case out of the Philippines.
Jennifer Loud was a trans woman. Her murder by a U.S. Marine set off a diplomatic firestorm and really forced a conversation about transgender rights and visibility in the Philippines.
Jennifer was known as Ganda, meaning beautiful. Her mother was very supportive, which wasn't always common. She struggled financially, worked in a salon, did some online sex work to help her family who were living in poverty.
Life must have been challenging for her.
Extremely. Especially dating as a trans woman in a conservative, largely Catholic country. But she'd met a German man, Mark Sisselbeck. He accepted her completely. They got engaged. She was actually planning to move to Germany to marry him.
So she had plans, a future.
She did. Then, October 11th, 2014, she met U.S. Lance Corporal Joseph Scott Pemberton at a bar. They went to a motel. Her friend Barbie was with them initially, but left them alone.
And then?
About 30 minutes later, Pemberton left the motel. He went back to his base and confessed to another Marine, saying he might have killed someone, using a really derogatory slur to refer to Jennifer.
What did the police find?
They found Jennifer dead, hunched over, head in the toilet bowl. Asphyxia by drowning was the cause of death.
In Pemberton.
He was immediately taken into U.S. custody, held on a U.S. ship. This sparked a huge diplomatic row. The Philippines wanted jurisdiction under their Visiting Forces Agreement, the VFA.
Does the VFA allow that?
Yes. Generally, the Philippines has primary jurisdiction for crimes committed there by U.S. personnel unless it's against other U.S. personnel. But the U.S. refused to hand him over initially.
This case feels layered with complexities.
Hugely. You have the cultural context in the Philippines. The term bakla, a kind of third gender, is known but often conflated with or used to deny transgender identity. This makes trans people incredibly vulnerable. Jennifer's murder highlighted that starkly.
In Pemberton's defense.
He used what's often called the trans panic or gay panic defense, claimed self-defense after discovering Jennifer was transgender. It's a defense tactic that essentially argues LGBTQ plus lives are worth less, that violence is an understandable reaction.
What was his specific claim?
He said she slapped him, he choked her until she was unconscious, and then dragged her to the bathroom. He claimed he thought she was still alive when he left her there with her head near the toilet.
The trial itself. I understand there were issues.
Definitely. No jury system in the Philippines, so Judge Roland Ganez Havalde had total control. And it came out he had a personal relationship with Pemberton's lawyer. And he went to law school together, were seen chatting privately.
That sounds like a conflict of interest.
It certainly raised eyebrows. Plus, Pemberton got special treatment. Held in an air-conditioned cell at a Philippine military camp, not the notorious New Bilibid prison. He even kept receiving his salary. Public anger was immense.
What was the verdict?
December 1st, 2015. Guilty of homicide, not murder. Sentenced to 12 years, later reduced to 10 on appeal.
Homicide, not murder. That's a significant difference.
It is. But the final twist came in September 2020. President Rodrigo Duterte granted Pemberton an absolute
Pardon.
Why? Duterte cited unfair treatment but didn't elaborate. It shocked many, especially since Duterte had previously been critical of the VFA. Most believe it was political, related to tensions with China and wanting to mend ties with the U.S.
So, justice denied, essentially. What does this case tell us about power dynamics, especially with military presence?
It highlights a long, often painful history. There are many accounts of alleged mistreatment of Filipinos by U.S. military, though official reports might not always show it. Remember the Daniel Smith rape case in 2006? Sentenced to 40 years, then released after the victim recanted, allegedly under pressure.
Right.
And it's not unique to the Philippines. Think of Okinawa, the horrific 1995 rape incident involving 3 U.S. servicemen and a 12-year-old girl. One activist documented over 350 U.S. military sex crimes there.
And internal rates are high too, right?
Exactly. Within the U.S. military itself, sexual assault rates are alarmingly high. Jennifer's case is just one tragic example of the dangers faced by trans people globally, compounded by issues of military impunity and how easily prejudice can lead to violence and injustice.
It's incredibly disheartening. But sometimes the lack of justice isn't about prejudice or power, but simply a complete lack of answers. Let's move into cases that remain profoundly unsolved, starting with one that's baffled people for nearly a century. The William Herbert Wallace impossible murder.
The classic lockroom-style mystery, but real life. Liverpool, 1931, Wallace, an insurance agent, accused of killing his wife, Julia.
What makes it impossible?
It's the setup. January 19th, Wallace gets a phone call at his chess club. A supposed client, R.M. Qualtrough, asks him to meet the next night, 7:30 p.m., at 25 Menlove Gardens East. Several club members heard this call.
Okay, so a specific appointment.
Right. But the next night, January 20th, Wallace spends ages searching for this address. Menlove Gardens East doesn't exist. He's seen all over asking people for directions. A wild goose chase.
So he has an alibi, seemingly created by the caller.
Exactly. It's bizarre. He gets home around 8:45 p.m., claims his keys won't work, gets neighbors to watch him try. Then suddenly, a key works. Inside, he finds Julia bludgeoned to death in the sitting room.
What about the crime scene?
Strangely clean. Blood only on her body and in the bathtub. Nothing else disturbed, really. A fireplace poker missing maybe the weapon. 4 pounds gone from a cash box. Not a typical messy robbery.
But the timing is the crucial part, right?
Absolutely. The milk boy saw Julia alive at 6:30 p.m. Wallace was seen miles away at 7:10 p.m. That leaves him max 20 minutes to get home, kill her, clean himself in the scene meticulously, change, and leave again. Seems impossible.
20 minutes.
And if you believe the paper girl who might have seen Julia at 6:45 p.m., it shrinks to just 5 minutes. Utterly impossible.
Yet he was convicted.
The public and jury were convinced. Despite no real evidence, they found him jetty in just an hour. The judge strongly disagreed.
What happened?
His conviction was overturned on appeal. Insufficient evidence. A landmark decision in English law at the time. But public opinion never changed. He was harassed, seen as guilty, until he died in 1933.
So if not Wallace, who? And why the elaborate setup?
That's the enduring mystery. Who was Q? Why frame Wallace? Or give him an alibi? Was the lock really stuck? Was it someone who knew their routine? The missing money seems almost incidental. It's just perfectly, inexplicably crafted.
From the impossible to the outright bizarre. Let's jump to Brazil, 1966. The lead mask case.
Oh, this one is truly strange. Vintem Hill. 2 men, Miguel Jose Viana and Manuel Pereira Cruz, found dead.
How were they found? What was weird about it?
They were decomposing, no obvious injuries, but they were dressed in suits with raincoats over them, and beside them, a water bottle, some cryptic notes, and these crude lead masks like thick spectacles.
Lead masks and notes.
Yeah, the notes had electrical formulas, instructions like 4:30 p.m. at the specified location. Max, light, mask. If an explosion occurs, it will be fine. Wait for the signal. Very strange.
Anything else unusual?
Their money. They supposedly started with 3 million cruzarios to buy a car or something, but only a fraction was left on their bodies, and they told their wives Sao Paulo, but bus tickets showed Nita Roy.
And then this character, Alarcio Gomez, shows up.
Right, claimed to be their assistant, said they were scientific spiritists, involved in experiments, ran a secret radio station, part of some secret society trying to contact Martian spirits.
Martian spirits, okay.
Gomez connected it to a UFO sighting near Campos a couple of months earlier, June 13th. Locals saw a bright oval object explode offshore. Gomez claimed Miguel and Manuel had a similar device explode in Manuel's garden during an experiment. The implication is they were trying again on Vintem Hill.
Hence the masks, for protection.
Possibly. Protection from intense light? Radiation. Something related to their experiment, maybe involving whatever was in those notes, or perhaps something they ingested.
Was poisoning considered?
Autopsies were inconclusive, officially negative for poison, but the bodies were decomposed, and there are questions about the reports. There were rumors of capsules, maybe ingested, but none found. Some claim the grass died where they lay.
Did the police solve it?
Well, they claimed to solve it in 1969. A guy already in prison, Bazzani, confessed. Said he and some others robbed them, forced them to take poison capsules.
Does that confession hold up?
Not really. The boy who found the body saw no one else, no signs of a struggle. Why force them up the hill? Why leave money? Why let them wear raincoats and lead masks? It contradicts the whole experiment narrative Gomez provided.
So a false confession.
Most likely. For fame, maybe? Or maybe police pushed it to close a baffling case? The most plausible idea is they took something, maybe experimental capsules, expecting something else, and it killed them. But who gave it to them? Why the lead masks? It's just a deeply weird, unsolved puzzle.
Unsolved cases are haunting. Let's look at one more. The disappearance of little Shinya Matsuoka in Japan, 1989. This one is heartbreaking, especially because of how hope was later exploited.
Yes, a terrible case. Shinya was 4 years old. The family was in rural Tokushima for a relative's funeral, staying at their house, March 7th, 1989.
What happened?
The father carried the youngest sibling up the stairs to the house. Shinya was right behind him. In the time it took the father to get inside, maybe 20 to 40 seconds, Shinya vanished from the top of the stairs, just outside the door.
Just gone. In seconds.
Vanished. Hundreds searched the town, the woods, nothing.
And then the phone call.
Right. Days later, the parents get this call. A woman calls herself Mrs. Nakahara, speaks with a local Tokushima accent, but she claims to be a mother from Shinya's sister's kindergarten back in Ibaraki, hundreds of miles away.
What'd you want?
She asked for a donation for the kindergarten and asked when the family planned to return to Ibaraki. The school later confirmed, no, Mrs. Nakahara, no such fundraiser.
That's incredibly specific and strange. A local person knowing about the kindergarten back home.
Exactly. How did she know the sister-specific group? How did she get their number in Tokushima when the news hadn't really spread nationally yet? Was it someone close probing them? A bizarre, targeted call.
Did it lead anywhere?
No. Decades passed. Media attention tips nothing. Then, in 2018, this young man, Ryota Wada, goes on a TV show, Urgent Public Search.
What did he claim?
Claimed he'd been abducted at age 4 and confined for 17 years. His early memories seemed to match Shinya's situation. He looked similar, was the right age. The public went wild. They thought it was him.
Was it?
No! It fell apart almost immediately. People recognized him as Hisashi Kitazawa, or maybe Takashi Kitazawa. He'd been on TV before, years earlier, as a fan of some idol group. Yearbook photos surfaced. He wasn't confined. He went to school.
So he lied.
Completely fabricated it. DNA tests proved he wasn't Shinya. It's believed he did it for attention, cruelly raising the family's hopes. The TV show even got criticized for potentially staging it.
What a cruel hoax. So where does that leave Shinya's case?
Still unsolved. The phone call remains the most tantalizing, baffling clue. Why lie? Was it a test? Then there are other theories. Abduction to North Korea, there was an unconfirmed sighting of a man and boy like Shinya near the coast. Or maybe accidental death, falling into a storm drain, tragically common for toddlers. It just shows how misinformation can devastate a search, leaving a family in limbo forever.
These stories are heavy. Failures, mysteries. Now let's turn to a different kind of tragedy, one rooted in prejudice and the fight for justice that followed. The Vincent Chin case.
A pivotal case in Asian American civil rights history. June 19th, 1982. Vincent Chin, 27, Chinese American. He was at his bachelor party in Highland Park, Michigan.
What happened that night?
2 other men were there. Ronald Evans, a Chrysler supervisor, and his stepson, Michael Nitzel, recently laid off from Chrysler. Evans got angry, apparently because Chin tipped a dancer generously. He started yelling racist abuse.
What kind of abuse?
Blaming Chin and his friend for auto industry layoffs, shouted things like, "It's because of you little motherfuckers that we're out of work."
But Chin wasn't Japanese.
Exactly. The ignorance is staggering. The auto downturn involved competition from Japanese companies. Vincent Chin was Chinese American, nothing to do with it. The attackers were, as someone put it, clueless when it came to geography.
Did it escalate?
Yes. A fight broke out, they got kicked out. But later, Evans and Nitzel paid another man $20 to help them find the Chinaman. They cornered Vincent. Evans hit his legs with a baseball bat. Nitzel held him down while Evans beat him savagely on the head and body.
With a baseball bat.
Vincent's last words were reportedly, "It's not fair." He died 4 days later, on the day he was supposed to get married.
And the justice system responded how?
Shockingly, Evans and Nitzel were arrested, but released initially without charge, later charged with second-degree murder, but it was plea bargained down to manslaughter in April 1983.
Manslaughter. For that kind of attack.
Yes, and Judge Charles Kaufman sentenced them to just 3 years probation and a $3,000 fine each. He didn't even notify Chin's family lawyers.
$1,000.
His justification was, you don't make the punishment fit the crime, you make the punishment fit the criminal. People were furious, called it a $3,000 license to kill. Mass protests erupted.
There had to be further legal action.
There was. A federal civil rights trial in 1984 resulted in Evans being sentenced to 25 years. But incredibly, that conviction was overturned on appeal.
Overturned?
Yes. A retrial was moved to Cincinnati, a place with very few Asian Americans. Evans was acquitted in 1987.
So criminally, they faced almost no consequences.
Essentially none. There was a civil suit. Nitzel ordered to pay $50,000, Evans over $4 million, later raised to $8 million. But they never paid it. Even Congressman John Conyers tried to downplay it, calling it political, not racial, and wrongly identifying Chin as Japanese American.
Despite the injustice, this case had a lasting impact, didn't it?
Immense. Vincent Chin's death became a major catalyst. It revitalized the Asian American and Pacific Islander civil rights movement. It led to the first federal civil rights trial ever for an Asian American. Groups like the Asian Pacific American Legal Center, now Asian Americans Advancing Justice, were formed partly in response.
So his legacy is one of resistance and change.
Absolutely. There's a plaque honoring him now in Ferndale, Michigan. His case is a brutal reminder of how ignorance fuels bigotry, how systemic flaws can deny justice, and sadly, how these patterns of hate crimes against Asian Americans persist and are often dismissed. It shows how even without overt bigotry in the court, the system itself can fail through negligence or bias.
So we've covered a lot of ground. Heartbreaking failures of protection. Baffling unsolved mysteries, the raw ugliness of prejudice. What does it all mean as we look back on these stories?
I think it underscores how vital it is to look deeper, beyond the headlines, beyond the simple narratives, understanding the context, the systemic failures, the human elements. It's crucial if we want to be truly informed.
Right.
These stories, as dark as they are, they're powerful lessons in empathy and critical thinking, and maybe most importantly, in the ongoing need to fight for justice for those who are vulnerable. We have to learn from these things.
It definitely leaves you thinking.
Yeah.
What's our own responsibility when we see injustice? Or even just signs that something's wrong? How do we make sure these tragedies aren't just forgotten statistics, but actually lead to real change?
That's the question, isn't it?
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We encourage you to think about what stood out to you from these stories. And if you found this exploration valuable, please do like, share, and subscribe to our channel, Horror Docs. We appreciate your support.